morning, everybody, and welcome to City Hall and a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council for today, Friday, November 16th. The year is 2001. City Council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. and can be viewed live from home on your cable station, Channel 35, viewed live via webcast from the city's homepage, or heard via council phone. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Bernson, Galandra, Garcetti, Hahn, Holden, Labange, Miskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Ridley Thomas, Weiss, Stein, and Padilla. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. As is customary on Fridays, we do have a number of presentations, but before we begin, I had asked that everybody please stand and ask Mr. Reyes to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
You can all stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. And while you're standing and have your microphone, I'll call on you for the first presentation.
Well, folks, fellow colleagues, yesterday had the pleasure of being part of a historical event in the city of Los Angeles. For the first time in history, we unveiled the first legalized hot food pushcart at the MacArthur Park Sidewalk Vending District. The vendors have been granted authorization from the city and county to sell tamales. This is evidence that we are continuing to prove the street vending, that it is working in Los Angeles and continues to work if we give people a chance. Another component that I would like to highlight is the grand opening of the vendor-operated restaurant known as Mama's Hot Tamales, which will take place tomorrow. This will be a facility where vendors will be trained on food preparation as well as restaurants. The restaurant will feature tamales from 14 different regions of Latin America. And folks, during these times when people aren't flying abroad, you can literally taste tamales from Guatemala, from Nicaragua, from El Salvador, and taste and hear the music of these regions and enjoy what's in our own backyard. So believe me, our own city has many treasures that should be sought out, and these are one of them. I'd also like to invite you to my district to visit this wonderful facility at the Family Holiday Festival that will begin the 17th through December 23rd. And I'd like to share with you the gift from Hot Tamales. You'll have food baskets in front of you. You have some tamales from the various regions, so please enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Next, I'd like to call on Mr. Labange for a presentation.
Mr. President, members of the council, the great thing about our staffs and our staffs of our predecessors is what they learned and what they contribute to the community, to the city process. And such is the case today when Susan Yackley is completing her city service, but she's going to still continue her city service where she will represent the EDIC, which is our film commission, on areas related to schools, parks, national parks, of which there are 4. If we climb to the top of this great city hall and look out, we would see 4 national forests: the Los Padres, the Cleveland, the San Bernardino, and the Angeles, which is the backdrop to the great city of Angels. So Susan is going to be responsible for working with the film industry and allowing them to shoot properly in neighborhoods and at schools in our public parks. And in the words of that great producer, Abe Stein, years ago, who said, "A rock's a rock, a tree's a tree, go shoot it in Griffith Park." Your job is to keep Hollywood working now and working effectively with the community. So I want to thank you on behalf of the late, great John Ferraro, your colleagues in the 4th District, for all the community services you've done, for the standard, the standard that you have set that will have to be exceeded for us to be successful, because you've done a wonderful job as a member of the staff of the 4th District for John Ferraro and for me So I take this moment to salute you, Susan Yackley, on this day, the 16th of November, 2001. Thank you.
Tom.
You betcha. Thank you. Want to say something?
Thank you, Councilmember Tom LaBonge, and how much fun is it to say that? I just want to say a quick thanks to all of the city employees, my brothers and sisters that I've worked with for the last 4 years while I've been here. It's been a real honor and a privilege to work with people who sincerely care about making Los Angeles a better place. And thanks to the constituents that I've worked with, keep doing it, because it shows when you care about your community. So thank you, Tom.
Betcha, Susan, and your number is 323-957?
1000.
1000. Any film problems?
I won't be far.
957-1000. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. LaBonge. Mr. Pacheco, are you ready with your presentation? Okay, we'll come back to you. Mr. Garcetti for a presentation.
Good morning, colleagues. I have two presentations to give today. The first, chronologically, is to honor a group of parents who, while I was still on the campaign trail, came to the Board of Education to protest the proposed closure of 6 early childhood education centers that LAUSD runs. And in a time of budget constraints, LAUSD had proposed cutting these centers, which educate the youngest of our children. And these are children who come into kindergarten and first grade, and these are the students that teachers really want, because they can read, they can write, they're interested, their eyes have been opened up. And we so often talk about investing in our youth, especially our youngest children, and how important that is. And yet here, 6 of these child care centers, many of them in some of the neediest neighborhoods of our city, were going to be cut, 2 of them in the 13th district. And a group of parents who I think previously probably had never organized around a political issue before, tirelessly, hours and hours, days after days, showed up at the Board of Education, got signatures in the community, got phone calls, emails from throughout the state, and had an incredible campaign. And it's because of their activism that 5 of those 6 child care centers were saved. And it really sent a powerful message, I think, to LAUSD, to all of us who believe in investing in young people, but it also showed the power of our citizenry when they do become organized. I want to honor these folks. Not all of them could be here today, but Marcela Lucero, first of all, who was one of the leaders in the fight, with this certificate in recognition of your leadership in the grassroots efforts to save the Berkeley and Alessandro Child Development Centers. This award recognizes your dedicated efforts to children, education, and your community. Edith Castillo, a similar one as well. Michelle Cienfuegos, and Mirna Castro. And I'm going to ask Marcela, to say a brief word.
The parents of Alessandro and Berkeley early education centers would love and to thank Councilman Garcetti for his dedication that he has shown the 13th district in knowing the importance of early education and how important it is to the most impoverished areas of the Los Angeles Unified School District. And we look forward to working with Eric in future projects with the early education department of the Los Angeles Unified School District, as well as working with other council members from other districts, that if there should be a budget cut and these early education centers are impacted, we look forward to working with you as well, because early education is extremely important, and we do need to educate our children to have a better future for them. So thank you. Thank you.
I also want to read the names of the folks who couldn't be here today. Sean Markham and Maria Sanchez and Sandra Davis. And I'll give you their certificates as well.
Thank you.
The second presentation that I'm going to give today honors something that I think in my 4.5 short months in office I'm most proud of. In my office, I hired Ana Guerrero, right here, as my chief organizer, and she joined 3 other staff members, Fabiola Vilches, George Villanueva, and Benjamin Ramirez, to form an organizing team. And quite often we think of government just about only answering calls from constituents or doing policy here. And we're making an investment, like I know Councilmember Reyes, I know there's a great article about Councilmember Pacheco's efforts, in actually organizing communities and having organizers that go out, and long after we are gone, whether it's 2 or 3 or 4 terms, that we can actually have communities that are empowered, that know how to come down here to City Hall and advocate on their behalfs. And so we organized an organizing institute, and we had trainers come in, professionals who spoke with the community about what it takes to organize communities and to begin to brainstorm about what certain communities who are sometimes untouched by government want and can do. And this is our first graduation ceremony. And the people that you see all around here are the incredible graduates of this program who came after work, at night, young people, people who have families, really a great cross-section of the community from many different geographical areas of Temple Beverly, the Vermont Corridor, Hollywood Yucca area, Hollywood Santa Monica Western area, and East Hollywood, and Elysian Valley. And tomorrow we are going to have our first action as these community members go out in their respective neighborhoods, begin to identify things that the city needs to do and that the community can do in cleaning up their neighborhoods and taking care of blight and improving everything around them. And this will only be the first action. And we will have this institute year after year after year, probably 2 or 3 times a year, to bring citizens in the process and then say, come to us and tell us what you want as better informed citizens and as true leaders. So we have many, many certificates here, and I'm going to go through the names quickly, and I hope that we can applaud them at the end, that we're going to have a graduation ceremony afterwards as well, upstairs in the nice Tom Bradley room, see that part of the City Hall. And then, as I said, there's an action tomorrow that if anybody is interested in coming to, we please invite people from the 13th Council District to join us, and that will be at our Sunset office in Silver Lake. So the graduates are Xiomara Montenegro, Candida Yanira Mota. Let me just read one of these midstream. It says, in recognition of your efforts and commitment to your neighborhood by completing all 4 sessions of Council District 13's Grassroots Leadership and Organizing Academy, your commitment demonstrates the depth of your passion for developing yourself as a conscientious leader who strives to create social and economic equity in the city of Los Angeles. I am proud to honor you on this day. En español, en reconocimiento de sus esfuerzos y compromiso a su vecindario al completar las 4 sesiones de la Academia de Liderazgo y Organización de Base de Distrito 13. Su compromiso demuestra la intensidad de su pasión por desarrollarse como un líder consciente que se esfuerza por crear igualdad económica y social en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Es un honor para mí poder reconocer sus esfuerzos en este día. Enrique Mota, Rafael Ángel Hernández, Rutilio Andaluz, Carmen Parada, Zoila Pineda, Susana Barraza, Marco Antonio de la Rosa, Alma Recio, María Alfaro, Neri Reyes, Lucía Galindo Solís, María Cibrián, Isabel Verduzco, Selena Havlicek, Zonia Cavazo. Domingo Osvaldo Aguilar. Silvio Rauda. Eva Rodriguez. Anayeli Rivas. Esmeralda Pantoja. Teresa Pantoja. Rosalba Pantoja. Good representation from the Pantojas. Socorro Callejas. Sure. Letvia Lorena Lopez. Felicitaciones. Telma Mesa. Okay. Jaime Colato. Raimundo Dominguez. Right. Cecilia Dominguez. Angelica Agarkop. Hey. Patrick Agarkop. And Lupe Reyes. And I'm going to call forward two of the graduates to speak, starting with Silvia Rauda.
Es un honor para nosotros estar aquí representando la voz unida del Distrito 13. Estamos aquí ante ustedes como testimonio de que el gobierno puede incorporar y escuchar a aquellos residentes que tradicionalmente no son escuchados. El concejal Eric Garcetti ha tomado una medida muy progresiva y responsable al armar a los residentes con las herramientas necesarias para llevar a cabo acciones estratégicas que mejoran la calidad de nuestros vecindarios. Por medio de la Academia de Liderazgo, hemos aprendido lo que es poder y cómo podemos ser poderosos, cómo incrementar nuestra base y cómo ganar campañas para nuestros niños. Ser concejal no es solo sentarse en un bello palacio, sino que se trata de crear movimientos de base que atacan a los problemas en su raíz. El liderazgo de estos movimientos debe de venir de los más afectados. Nosotros les instamos a que sigan los pasos del señor Eric Garcetti y crear el mismo esfuerzo organizativo en sus comunidades, y así también Los Ángeles puede convertirse en el ejemplo de lo que el gobierno es capaz de hacer y de lo que debe de estar haciendo. En el Distrito 13 hay una gran carencia de parques y de áreas verdes. Como comunidad estamos trabajando con nuestros vecinos para que hayan más parques, ya que hemos ganado algunos parques y estamos en el proceso de construir otros. Nosotros somos gente trabajadora y ha sido muy difícil encontrar el tiempo y la energía para envolvernos. Pero cuando miramos a nuestros vecindarios y a nuestros niños viviendo en esa masiva metrópolis de concreto, escogemos el compromiso y colaboramos con un gobierno responsable para así poder obtener más parques, desarrollo responsable, viviendas dignas, vecindarios seguros, oportunidades de trabajo y acceso a la educación. Lo que hemos recibido de la oficina del concejal es algo muy valioso y que podremos usar por el resto de nuestras vidas. En un futuro sabremos y podremos trabajar en nuestra comunidad sin importar quién sea nuestro representante. Como dijo el famoso organizador Sal Alinsky, no hagas por otros lo que ellos pueden hacer por ellos mismos. Gracias.
And Ray Dominguez, en inglés.
Good morning, council members. It is an honor to be here today representing the united voice of the 13th District Council. We stand here before you as a testimony of the government that can and should incorporate the residents and the citizens that would traditionally not have a voice. It was a wonderful process measured for Councilman Garcetti to take the responsibility towards providing the residents of the 13th District the necessary tools to carry out strategic actions towards improving the quality of life in our neighborhoods. Using the organizing and leadership skills we have learned, we are starting to empower one another and gain support in issues that are important to the people in our communities. In the 13th Council District, there are major shortages of parks and open green spaces. As a community, we are certain that we are currently working towards neighborhood excuse me, as a community, we are currently working with our neighbors to push for more parks, some of them which we have already won and some that are already in process of being built. We are working, women and men, and it is hard for us to find time and the energy to get involved ourselves, but we have looked at the people in our neighborhoods and choose to commit ourselves to collaborate with an accountable government to work towards the birth of more parks, sustainable development, affordable housing, safe neighborhoods, the opportunity of job opportunities, and accessible education. We have received from Councilman Garcetti's office an invaluable to us the use, excuse me, what we have received from Councilman Garcetti's office is invaluable to us, and it is something that we will use for the rest of our lives. Today we are able to represent our community regardless of whoever takes representation of the 13th Council District in the future. We now follow the philosophy of the known organizer, Sal Alinsky: never do for others that they can do for themselves. We feel that being a council representative in the city of Los Angeles is about creating progressive grassroots movements and address serious problems in our communities. We challenge the council members to walk in your district neighborhoods and meet the residents and create the same organizing efforts in their communities so that Los Angeles can be a model for the governments to, so Los Angeles can be a model for what government is capable of being. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. Chair recognizes Ms. Perry for a presentation. Ms. Perry?
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I have two very special individuals here with me today, and today is the eve before the beginning of Ramadan, a holy month that will be observed by 1 billion Muslims worldwide. And on this day, it's my honor to recognize a very special man and a stakeholder and resident in the 9th Council District, Imam Hassan, who is the religious and spiritual leader for Muslims in Los Angeles for over 30 years and is in the process of building a beautiful new mosque on Central Avenue. Additionally, he's been instrumental in organizing and participating in interfaith activities throughout the city of Los Angeles and in particular the 9th Council District. I have admired his dedication to uniting the people of Los Angeles and fostering love and acceptance of other religions and beliefs, and I commend him for that. Also joining us today is Imam Naji Ali. Many of you know Imam Naji Ali for his many community activities. I would also like to recognize him. He is the director of Project Islamic Hope and has given outstanding service to our community and to the 9th Council District. He is one of Los Angeles's leading community activists and has created a homeless outreach program on Skid Row that gives food and clothing away on a monthly basis and provides an indispensable service to hundreds of homeless men, women, and children. He has given both his heart and his hand to the people of Los Angeles. The Muslim community and those of us, even beyond the Muslim community, should be immensely proud of each one of these individuals, and I'm proud that they call the 9th District their home. I would also like to recognize those standing with them today, Deborah Hassan, Nagina Mohammed, and Mustafa Rushdan, and I will present them with these certificates and ask Imam Hassan if he would like to say a few words.
Thank you, City Councilwoman Jan Perry, You know, we have long held the view that the government cannot do it all. We know that government does a tremendous job of trying to help people and trying to alleviate some of the problems of society. But government cannot do it all. So we look forward to the support and the help of the mosques, the synagogues, and the Christian churches, as well as the other groups and institutions in each city to do what they can to help alleviate some of these problems. So I thank our Councilwoman Jan Perry, and I also thank the Los Angeles City Council.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. Chair recognizes Mr. Labange for a brief introduction.
Members of the council, we have a great one here who's a great volunteer. I just want to recognize for many, many years he's been the voice of Loyola High football. John Malloy. John, stand up. Good luck tonight. You're playing Fontana. Marshall had trouble last night, Ruth. Venice rolled over Marshall 58-13. Congratulations to Venice. Okay, thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Ms. Galanter for a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council, it's my honor to introduce to you this morning a group of students from the Westchester Neighborhood School. We had hoped to get them through all the obstacles you have to jump in order to get into the council chamber in time to join us when we did the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag, but they were still working their way through the process at the time that we actually had a quorum here. They've come to council this morning. They've actually come to council this morning to make a presentation to me, but of course they also have a presentation for all of you. And let me just explain who these people are. This is the group of children who first taught me, well, some of them are, one of them is, who first taught me the Pledge to the Earth, which is a second verse to the Pledge of Allegiance. And yeah, we need the smaller ones in the front here. And just to give you an idea, this young man must have been, what grade were you in?
Maybe sixth grade?
Maybe sixth grade. Well, he's grown up a little. I think you were younger than that. I think maybe fourth grade. And so this pledge has been around for a while. So with your indulgence, before we go through the presentation to me, and with apologies because we weren't able to do this on time, we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag one more time, and we'll be led by the students of the Westchester Neighborhood School. And I want you all to pay very careful attention to this. Don't start talking the minute the part you already know is over. Okay, are we ready? Children, stand up. Okay, are you guys going to do this? I'm going to give you the microphone up in front here.
Listo? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the earth on which I stand, one world, one people, undivided, with food, shelter, and justice for all.
That's it. You may sit down now. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And if you guys would come back around here. We have, this is a pledge that I first learned at the Westchester Neighborhood School, but there are a number of schools around the city who do say this second verse. And I find it very exciting and encouraging that young people are leading the world in recognizing that we're all interconnected and we all rise and fall together. Certainly we found out in September when people from all those different nations were in the same buildings at the worst possible time, but we were all in this together. And so this is a reminder, and because I thought this was so wonderful and I've been bringing it in for a long time, and I told them I liked it, you will see here, well, you won't see it here, we're going to bring it out in front. Is one of you going to explain what this thing is? You guys talk in the mic, and I'll move this thing up where everybody can see it.
First of all, thank you for inviting us here today. We're representatives of Westchester Neighborhood School, and this is a great opportunity for us. This right here, what we just said represents our feelings towards the outside community. We do this every single day. We feel this is a necessary thing to do because it just reminds us of how the world should be and how the world can be a lovely place.
I want you all to see this thing. Can you wiggle that up in the front here? This is going on the wall in my office, and if you learn the pledge, maybe somebody will make one for your office as well. So let me say thank you to all of you from the Westchester Neighborhood School. They also taught me another important thing the same day, but it's not quite the same order of significance. They taught me how to use the Paint program on the computer. We were opening their computer lab. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and keep up the good work as you go on to high school and college. You'll have to teach more people not only how to say this pledge, but how to carry it out. You gonna say something too?
We would like to make a presentation to Councilwoman Galante. This is our artwork with the pledge to the earth. Thank you again for inviting us.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Galanter.
Now,
The chair recognizes Mr. Pacheco for a presentation.
okay, we got to take that off.
Mr. President, colleagues, good morning. First of all, I want to start off by commending my colleague, Mr. Garcetti, for doing a good job of transferring and replicating our program from CD14 into CD13. So where did Mr. Garcetti go? As you know, one of our top priorities as council members, and one that I take very seriously, is to empower our residents and get them engaged in local government. Many of you know that there are many ways to get there. Some are more controversial than others. So once we got through the controversy, we decided that the best thing to do with our training program and our empowerment program was to do it completely in-house, working with our staff. So my staff, under the leadership of Adriana Rubalcaba and Lloyd Montserrat, developed what we call the Neighborhood Leadership Institute. We have 3 paid organizers on staff. So we have Ana Grande, Francisco Heredia, and Miguel Medina, who are solely dedicated to working and finding individuals who have an interest in their government, who can sit down, go through a 10-week program of classroom and hands-on training to learn the city system, to become leaders in their community, and to really be engaged in local government. As you know, everyone is very busy, and for them to spend 10 weeks on Wednesday nights really shows a commitment that they have to their community and to the betterment of their neighborhoods. What you see here are members of the first group of residents that made this commitment. I understand some of them are also busy not only with their professional lives, but some of them are students, and we have some young individuals from high schools who are participating in this program. I admire them for their commitment. I applaud them for working very hard on making their communities safer and making themselves stronger advocates for the community's interests. I want to recognize each one of them individually, so I'm going to have Francisco help me with this. But let me start off with presenting a certificate of congratulations. And so, on behalf of the City of Los Angeles and my office, para ustedes que solamente hablan español, Les quiero felicitar y agradecer todo lo que han hecho, no solamente para nosotros, porque yo sé que el trabajo que ustedes hacen es para mejorar la comunidad, para tener un vecindario que es mejor para los jóvenes y sus familias. Y quiero darles un reconocimiento pequeño de todo su esfuerzo y todo que han trabajado muy fuerte para participar en nuestro programa Neighborhood Leadership Institute. De parte de la ciudad de Los Ángeles y mi oficina, quiero presentar este reconocimiento de felicitar a Ana Medina.
Ana Medina.
Coral Gayton.
Coral Gaytan.
Coral Gayton. Dario Escobar.
Dario Escobar.
Desiree Baumgartner.
Desiree Baumgartner.
Emma Cárdenas.
Emma Cárdenas.
Francisco Ramírez.
Ramírez.
Gabriela Herrera.
Herrera.
Javier Blancarte.
Blancarte.
Jessica Palacios.
Jessica Palacios.
Margarita García.
García.
María Evangelista.
María Evangelista.
María Elena García.
María Elena García.
María Lourdes Martínez.
Lourdes Martínez.
Marta Escudero.
Marta Escudero.
Negralinda Jeffries.
Linda Jeffries.
Ofelia Zuniga.
Ofelia Zuniga.
Susana Escobar.
Susana Escobar.
Tomás Enríquez.
Tomás Enríquez.
Vanessa Ruiz.
Vanessa Ruiz.
Violeta Urbina.
Violeta Urbina.
Y Xochi Alvarado.
Xochitl Alvarado.
Colleagues, tonight they will be celebrating their graduation ceremony at one of our fine tourist sites, historical sites, El Mercadito in Boa Heights. And I just want to offer a few of them an opportunity to say a few words to you. So, are you starting?
Good morning. My name is Desiree Baumgartner from Eagle Rock, and it's an honor to stand before our city leadership this morning and be in the fine company of such fine neighborhood leadership as well. On behalf of my fellow Eagle Rockers, I'd like to take this opportunity to express our profound appreciation for Councilman Pacheco and his office staff for implementing such an important and valuable program that gives our neighborhood, empowers our neighborhoods and gives our communities a voice. Additionally, I'd like to express our gratitude for our community organizers, Ana Grande, Francisco Heredia, and Miguel Medina, for the fine example of leadership that they demonstrate to us every week and in every encounter we have with them. We are looking forward to continuing to build a great working relationship with the City Council and with Councilman Pacheco's office. Additionally, we look forward to continuing to build our community. Thank you very much.
Sí. Buenos días. señor Padilla,
Mr.
señores
Padilla,
representantes.
Representative.
Mi nombre es Violeta
My name is
Urbina,
Violeta
represento al
Urbina,
Distrito
represent
14
the
y al
14th
Sereno.
District of Sereno.
Gracias, señor
Thank you,
Pacheco,
Mr. Pacheco,
por esta
for this
oportunidad
opportunity
de preocuparse por hacer
to
más líderes
more
preparados
leaders
para nuestras
prepared
comunidades.
for our communities.
Aprendimos mucho sobre los
learned a lot
servicios de la
about the
ciudad y
services of
liderazgo.
this
Este es un compromiso para nosotros y tenga la seguridad que así lo compartiremos. Muchas gracias, señor Pacheco.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. I don't know, he had the
My
guy
name is
in the
Vanessa
back. I
Ruiz.
don't know what he's doing. This
I'm a
guy.
mother of 6 children. I'm proud to represent Highland Park, 14th District. The course that I attended was city planning. This has been a new experience for me. And the first concerns were about children and their safety and our neighborhood on what it looked like and the surroundings and what our community represented. What can be done to make it better? Who are we? What can be done to make it better? How can we make
¿Cómo podemos hacerla?
our community
Nuestra comunidad
better?
mejor.
What does it take to accomplish goals, and when do we start?
¿Y cuándo empezamos?
It's good to know that knowledge is the key to access, and that our goal is to have a positive production and a better environment.
Positivo y mejor medio ambiente.
We'd like to thank the City Department representatives for the support and their dedication
y su dedicación
to represent our
para
community.
representar a
We also like to
nuestra
thank
comunidad. También nos daría las gracias
Nick
para
Pacheco and his
Nick
staff,
Pacheco y
Francisco,
su
Lloyd,
equipo,
Anna, and
Francisco,
Miguel
Lloyd,
for everything they've
por todo lo que,
taught us.
lo que nos
That's it.
enseñaron.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Good morning, council members. I too would like to thank Mr. Nick Pacheco here and his staff.
Y a su equipo.
The past 10 weeks have not gone in vain. We have learned a lot as a community,
mucho como comunidad
and I hope all this
y de todo esto
we take to our children
a nuestros hijos
into the future.
y al futuro.
That way we could
De esa manera,
continue
para
the
continuar
better community
la mejor comunidad
through the city,
de la
through
ciudad,
members of
a los
local
miembros
government.
del
We could
gobierno local,
improve our community,
mejorar nuestra comunidad,
also learn
también
more about our
aprendemos más
local
acerca de
government.
nuestro gobierno local.
And I believe with this
Y creo que
program,
este programa,
this pilot program, and
este
everything else we've
programa piloto y
learned,
todo lo que hemos aprendido,
we will
vamos a
move on.
y seguir
And
para
I believe
adelante. Y yo creo que
that we will do.
nosotros vamos a hacerlo.
Every action has a reaction,
Tiene una
and
reacción.
we will have
Nosotros
plenty
vamos a tener
reactions
muchas
to all the
reacciones
training
a
that we've
todo el
taken.
entrenamiento que hemos tomado.
And once again, I want to thank you for your time,
Darles
and
gracias por su
especially
tiempo,
Mr.
especialmente
Councilman Nick
miembros
Pacheco here
Councilman Pacheco
and his staff.
y a su
Thank you.
equipo. Gracias.
Thank you, colleagues. I also want to thank all of the departments, the city departments who visited with the class and brought them information and empowered them to access city services. I really want you to know that our city staff did visit with them on evening hours and gave them a good part of information that they need to really become leaders and voices for their community. So I do want to thank all of the departments, all of our city staff and employees for working with this program. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Pacheco. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Holden.
Mr. President, Madam President and members,
Señor presidente, miembros,
we have a real celebrity in
tenemos
the
una gran
house.
celebridad en la casa.
Now, you know him by his name and his
Su
voice.
nombre es mi voz.
For those of you who
Ustedes, aquellos que
like jazz and then you heard this
han
guy
oído a este hombre
introduce
presentar
performers such as Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Buddy Collette, they say I used to look. Hank Mobley, and the list goes on. Then you didn't just like jazz, you loved it. It's like music to your ears to hear this guy talk about musicians and the history of jazz. The list goes on. His name is Chuck Niles. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big hand. All right, come on down, Chuck. All right. Chuck Niles is one of the most knowledgeable jazz experts in the United States of America. Chuck Niles is in his 50th year as the voice of the jazz radio in Southern California. His Los Angeles broadcasting career began in 1956 at the Knob, and I would go to sleep listening to you, Chuck. In Long Beach, which was the first 24-hour jazz station anywhere. I told you. And I woke up listening to you as well. He spent 25 years at KBCA, which eventually became KKGO Radio. His personal anecdotes and understanding of the history, artists, and the heritage of jazz has made him the most listened to jazz broadcaster in Southern California. In the United States of America, if you want to know the truth. Chuck Niles was born in 1927, a young guy, in Springfield, Massachusetts. Was playing professional gigs on the saxophone at age 14. Still blow, huh? Yeah, all right, Chuck. While attending American Institute International College, landed his first professional radio job at Wheat in West Palm Beach, and after graduation, headed to California to pursue an acting career. But you know like this better, don't you? All right. He became host of the afternoon movie at KJH channel and landed his work at KFOX radio, where he hosted his honed his broadcasting skills. Chuck Niles has entertained audience as a musician, actor, TV, movie host, and radio disc jockey. He has a unique understanding of jazz and has made him one of the most well-respected personalities in the United States and jazz community. Chuck Niles is always ready to take time from his busy schedule to work with jazz organizations that are committed to music education, bringing music demonstrations into Los Angeles elementary and classroom schools. Now therefore be resolved by the adoption of this resolution, the Mayor of the Los Angeles City Council does hereby acknowledge, applaud, and appreciate the work of Chuck Niles, the voice of jazz in Southern California, if not all across America and around the world. Give him a big hand.
Mr. Brinson?
Yes, as soon as they get through taking the picture. Chuck, I just want to add my voice. I'm over here. Right here.
Oh, okay. It's a little guy over. Okay.
I just want to tell you that I'm a long-time listener, and I just want to tell you how much I really enjoyed listening to you.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you very much. And do I now say a couple of things? I mean, that's, I'm not sure what the procedure is, but I'd like to thank Nate Holden, of course, and the council members for this. It means really a lot to me, and in turn it means a lot for the music I represent, which is America's only true Native American art form. And so thank you. And being here reminds me that we used to do some concerts here with the Los Angeles Jazz Society and live music around various locations. But anyway, I don't want to take too much time up. But thank you so very much. And again, and have a great weekend, by the way. Thank you.
Oh, Chuck Niles is being honored here in Los Angeles at, I think, downtown at the Biltmore Hotel. Hollywood Park, all right. And the Biltmore. And we did a certificate for him at that time. Happiness is listening to disc jockey Chuck Niles on radio station KLON, and this is September 16th. We're glad to give it to you now, so you get 2 for 1.
Chair recognizes Mrs. Galanter for an additional presentation.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I have another group from the Westchester area, and only this is sort of the greater Westchester area, to recognize today the Los Angeles Beach City's Area 1D was recently awarded the Area of the Year designation by AYSO, the American Youth Soccer Association, for its unparalleled service to youth soccer players and volunteers. The award was actually presented in May at AYSO's National Annual General Meeting in Tampa, but as you know, things have been pretty busy between May and now, and so this is the first chance we've had to bring all these nice people in to recognize them. I think all of you are familiar with AYSO. That program operates with 100 active areas, supported by more than 250,000 volunteers, providing 650 young players with the opportunity to play soccer throughout the U.S. Area 1D, the Area of the Year, serves the communities of Westchester and Playa del Rey, which are in my district, Marina del Rey, which is surrounded by my district, and the rest of the independent South Bay cities, not a one of which is in my district, or yours either. Excuse me. We have actually in the 6th District, we have really quite a wonderful record of AYSO activity. I'm going to tell you a little more about the Area 1D, the beach cities, but we also have at the other side of my district, we have a gentleman named Cleve Freeman who started the AYSO in the south part of LA and has gone on to become a national spokesperson, but he did not get the award for Area of the Year. Area 1D did in the beach cities. This group has been led since 1995 by Daniel Juarez, and they've earned their award because of the commitment to continual improvement in the delivery of the soccer program. They initiated a very important player tournament. That's a VIP. I thought it was a very important person, but you didn't know. This includes children with disabilities, and it demonstrated excellence in the training of its volunteer corps. In addition, all the charter regions within Area 1D beach cities participated in AYSO's regional performance program, and they had 100% participation by volunteers for 3 years in a row. This is a pretty good record, and it is my very great pleasure to recognize and give certificates to Mr. Daniel Juarez, who's the director of Area 1D, Spencer White, who's the regional commissioner for Region 7, which includes, in addition to the communities I mentioned, Ladera Heights and Inglewood, and Francis Strongs, who I think I've known the longest of all of you. Francis has been out there building soccer fields and running youth programs probably since you were 4 years old. Or something like that. And so I think it's only fitting, since soccer is an activity that involves so many of our young people and teaches them teamwork, teaches them how to play together or play against each other, but to play against each other instead of fighting against each other, that we all take note of the fact that these programs work because grown-ups spend a lot of time helping to put the programs together and making sure that they will continue to flourish. So with that, I'd like to give a certificate of appreciation from the City of Los Angeles to the Area 1D beach cities, and I guess I'll present that to Mr. Juarez, who is, after all, the director, and you can say whatever you like.
Thank you very much.
Hold on, Ron, I did do this without my glasses. Oh, okay. Your turn.
Ms. Galanter, before you speak, Ms. Hahn.
Hi, congratulations and honor. My son, he's 17 years old and he's played soccer since he was 4, I think. So, and I knew Danny as the city clerk of Hawthorne for many years, and you are a great example of a public servant who, as Ms. Galanter said, spends an incredible amount of time doing this kind of thing for the young people, and you have touched untold lives through what you've done. So I'm here to really thank you and say how grateful we are.
Thank you.
Now?
Mr. President and the members of the City Council, and certainly Councilwoman Ruth Galanter, I want to thank you for this opportunity to be here today. And on behalf of the 10,000 kids that we service in Area 1D and the thousands of volunteers, even though we cannot win this award again, we are definitely committed to continually to support the program that comes out of the national office and to deliver a world-class youth program to the children of our communities. Also, we have something for you, each member, and I will give these to Councilwoman Galanter. And these are Area of the Year pins, which has all of our regions on here, including Region 7, Westchester. So I'll hand those to you for all the members. And if the President will allow me, I'd like to introduce Spencer White, who runs the Westchester region, and he has a few words for you.
Thank you, Danny. I just wanted to thank the council and Councilwoman Galanter for honoring us in this way. In Region 7, we have 1,750 players participating, largely from Westchester and Playa del Rey. And of those, we have 40 participating in our VIP program for children with special needs. So we do a pretty good job, and I just want to thank you for this honor. And I also have AYSO region pins to present to the council members.
Thank you very much. Francis?
Just one quick.
This is what every community needs, a community mom who takes care of all the kids.
Thank you, Councilwoman Galanter. I am pleased to be here again in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, and as proud as I am of my Area 1D and specifically my Region 7, which I was privileged once to lead, I just wanted to tell you that, and perhaps you might have also recognized, of all of the presentations here today, from all of the various council districts, there was a huge number of people representing their community and saying to you, thank you for your help, and encouraging you to go forward and help us accomplish what we need in our communities. Among the first presentations, there was a request, or there was an indication of great need for parks. And as a community mom, I surely encourage all of you to do everything you can to provide parks in every part of our city, not just the part that is closest to me. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Galanter. And that does conclude the presentation segment of today's meeting. Mr. Clerk, next order of business, please.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Reyes moves and Ms. Perry seconds.
Approval of the minutes.
Mr. Garcia moves and Ms. Hahn seconds.
Before starting the regular agenda, there is an item to be received and filed. Item number 5, that matter should be received and filed inasmuch as council acted on it last Wednesday, November 14th.
Members, request to receive and file item number 5 without objection. So ordered.
Mr. President, item notice for public hearing is item number 1. There is also an amending motion that has been circulated.
Item number 1, let's call that special.
Items numbers 2 through 4 on the regular agenda items for which public hearings have been held.
Public hearing has been held on items 2 through 4. Are there any specials? Items 2, 3, and 4. Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Mr. Holden calls item 4 special. Anybody wishing to call item 2 or 3 special? Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on items 2 and 3. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item, please.
Items numbers 6 through 14 on the regular agenda are items for which public hearing has not been held. I understand there is an amending motion on item 7.
There's an amending motion and a public comment card on item 7. Let's call that special. Items 6 through 14 before us. Mr. Holden calls 14 special. Any other specials? 6 through 14, with the exceptions of 7 through 14. I don't have additional requests from members of the public to speak on these items. And seeing no additional specials, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved.
Items numbers 15 through 17 on the continuation agenda are also items for which public hearings have not been held.
15 through 17 do not have requests from members of the public to speak on those items. Any specials? Mr. Holden calls 17 special. Mr. Holden changes his mind. 15 through 17. Any specials? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on items 15, 16, and 17. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved.
Mr. President, item number 18A, there's a request from Councilmember Hahn to hold that open session. The city attorney concurs that it is not necessary to have in closed session.
I believe we have a request to have an open session and out of order. Let's call that special and have that be the first individual item we take up. Next item, please.
Not on the agenda is special 1. Findings need to be made by the city attorney.
Let's go ahead and take special 1 next. We'll come back to 18A, and we also have a special meeting agenda. Mr. City Attorney.
Mr. President, members, this is a motion being introduced by Councilmember Hahn. In it, she seeks information from the Chief Legislative Analyst's Office and the CAO's office regarding the proposed cuts made or indicated by the governor's office recently and how that would impact on the city. In order for the council to consider this matter, there needs to be a determination made by the council that under the provisions of the government code and the rules of the city council, that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter, and that the need for action came to the attention of the city council subsequent to the posting of today's city council agenda.
Anybody wishing to speak on the findings? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on the findings for special 1. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Special 1 is now before us. Members wishing to speak. Ms. Hahn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the council, I rise this morning to introduce an urgent motion directing the CLA and the CAO to prepare an expedited report assessing the impact of the state budget cuts recently announced by our governor. I'm sure that by now, most of you in this room have seen the newspaper coverage of these cuts, which could negatively impact local government. Among the proposals made by the governor are several that directly affect our city here in Los Angeles, including the elimination of the Downtown Rebound Program, the Jobs Housing Balance Program, both of which would help address our city's housing crisis, a $5 million cut in the LA River Parkway program, a $25 million cut in support for local trauma centers, and elimination of $82 million in funding for the LA Crime Laboratory. As you can see, these cuts affect housing, the environment, transportation, and public safety, and could hold dire consequences for us. In addition, there are rumors that the state will eliminate the vehicle license fee backfill, which could mean a $139 million loss to our budget. Clearly, we need to be ahead of the curve in assessing the impact of these proposals and communicating our concerns to the legislature. In January, the legislature will hold a special session to consider the governor's proposed cuts. We must understand the impact of these cuts so that we can communicate with our constituents and comment appropriately to the governor and the legislature. The motion before us right now calls for this report to be completed early next week before the holiday and presented at the earliest possible council meeting. I believe strongly that we should hear that report before we adjourn for the holiday, and the CLA and COO have assured me that we can do that. I ask for your aye vote on this very special emergency motion.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Other members wishing to speak? Mr. Holden.
Well, as a CLA president here, we can ask questions about what budget are we talking about? Is this amendment to the current state budget, or this is proposed for the budget 71-72?
Michael Carson with the CLA's office. Some of these cuts are for the current year budget. Other cuts will be in the budget that is yet to be introduced. But they're cutting the projected budget allocations for this fiscal year.
For this fiscal year?
Yes.
All right, I think that we are in trouble statewide. If these budget cuts are real, and they are going to adversely affect our budget for this fiscal year, City of Los Angeles, we are in more trouble than you ever dreamed of. The chair of the Budget and Finance Committee, I'm sure, Mr. Pacheco, will be addressing this issue also. I'm going to look to him for leadership on this issue. It is very scary. So as we vote on matters which is going to cause us to spend money, we do that every day. In fact, we commit ourselves to $100 million in the trust fund for housing. Mr. Hernandez, I hope will work with us on that and try and find the money from other agencies, certainly the states, saying don't look there. So we got to do more than dream. And I only make this point in support of Ms. Hahn's motion. But I got to tell you, it's more trouble than you think, and all of these special alerts, tactical alerts, and that overtime, it's going to be a nice council. They're going to grow up real fast on these issues, be assured. So I would tell you, my friends, that we have a lot to contend with in the next couple of months. Mr. Cox, you know that, don't you? Yes.
Mr. Burnson.
Janice, I'm glad you brought this in because it's a very serious matter. The chickens have come home to roost. And the governor has taken a huge surplus and destroyed it with his energy policies. And this combined with the recession which we're now entering into and the events of September 11th, and revenues are down. And the state legislature is notorious for taking local money. I remember when they withheld our property tax money to balance their budget. Mr. Hernandez remembers. So, we can send this thing. I don't know that it's going to do an awful lot of good, but we're going to have to really face some serious realities in the future. We're going to have to really look at our budget, and we're going to have to look at our priorities. And some of the things that we think are so important may not be as important as some of the others. So I commend you for bringing this in, and I think that we need to look at, take a nice hard look. And we have to do what everybody has to do in their business or in their household. When revenue goes down, you got to cut your spending, and you got to live within your budget.
Thank you, Mr. Burnson. Other members wishing to be heard? Seeing none. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on Special 1. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Special 1 is approved. Mr. Clerk, we had a request earlier to take item 18A out of order. Let's proceed to do that if the body is okay with that. 18A. Mr. Clerk, the item.
18A is a response to an item that was in council last Wednesday, and it's the Dump Truck Owners Association versus the city. Councilmember Zine or Councilmember Hahn, I believe, requested that council be briefed.
Ms. Hahn, did you wish to speak now, or shall we await a staff presentation? Let's begin with the staff presentation.
Good morning, Peter Echeverria and Deborah Gonzalez from the City Attorney's Office. Ms. Gonzalez works in the area with the police department which regulates these trucks. She can address the impact of the case on our regulations, and I can tell you a little bit about what's happening with the league and the appeals as well.
Actually, the impact of this new case is not that great because it is a district court decision that is simply following a Ninth Circuit decision that was rendered in July of 2000. And in that case, which is the Toker case, which challenged ordinances in Santa Ana on this very same issue of preemption, the Ninth Circuit ruled that the states and local municipalities were preempted from regulating in this area with only very few exceptions, those exceptions that are listed in the federal statute. So really, this district court case, it adds clarification to the extent that it gives a declaratory judgment saying that all of the California statutes, which they've listed here, the government code, the vehicle code, and one other code, are preempted to the extent that they delegate any legislative authority to a municipality or a county in the regulation of motor carriers.
So the effect of this was a challenge to the state laws which purport to authorize municipalities to regulate in this area. And the court found that the federal act preempts the state in a number of areas, but certainly municipalities even in greater areas, whereas the state has the authority to regulate with respect to safety, for example. Whereas the state has the authority to regulate with respect to safety, for example, the municipalities are not given that authority according to this court's view of the statute. Part of your motion, and the motion the council adopted, I believe, on Wednesday, asked for us to urge the Attorney General to appeal the case, which would be the next logical step if it were to be pursued, and secondly, to see what other cities are doing and perhaps join in an amicus brief or write an amicus brief. I have, as of this morning, been part of a conference with the Legal Advocacy Committee of the League of California Cities. That committee has taken a vote to urge the Attorney General to appeal this case, and a letter will be sent by that committee. We also will join in that letter, urging the Attorney General to appeal. That's not a foregone conclusion, but we expect that there will be an appeal. And we're working with two cities who have cases in even further stages of litigation than we do, San Francisco and San Jose, both of whom are very interested in writing appellate amicus briefs in this area, and we will work with them, and at the very least, provide our input and join with them in those cases, in those briefs.
So, just some of the questions that came up last time was, so what you're saying is this does or doesn't. Are we still allowed to regulate? What about, so safety, weight, routes, none of that we're now able to? Okay.
It's very far-reaching and basically takes us out of the regulation of those matters.
Okay.
The only thing we're left with is enforcing state statutes that exist that regulate those things. That we can do, but not our own.
This is a really bad deal for us locally, particularly for those of us who already are struggling with trucks who are not even following any kind of ordinance and driving through residential streets. So.
One of the actions you may wish to consider is looking for federal legislation to amend the act. The one provision that the court relied upon, which authorizes states to regulate with respect to safety, expressly says states, does not mention municipal government or local subdivisions of the state. Other provisions in the act do mention local subdivisions of the state. Therefore, the court said if the local subdivisions were to have that authority, they should have been mentioned with respect to safety. You may wish to adopt a resolution which would adopt as part of our legislative program an effort to amend the act to give municipalities the power to legislate with respect to safety.
And is that, do we do that at the same time that we're filing the amicus brief? Or?
Actually, that would be an action you can take at this point.
We can take that now. Okay, I'd like to make that motion that we pass a resolution that amends this to include specifically mentioning our local municipality in those areas.
In the federal act?
Yeah.
With respect, yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one clarification. Does this then dilute our enforcement power for the 6,000-pound restrictions throughout the city, where we have roads restricted to 6,000 pounds, not necessarily dump trucks or trash trucks, but weight. Does this throw that out also, citywide?
If it falls within the definition of a motor carrier that is covered by the federal law, yes, we would be preempted.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Holden?
Give me that answer again. If it does what?
If it falls within the definition of a motor carrier as that is included in the federal law.
And just trailers, 6,000 pounds or more, falls within that legislative?
I'm not certain, I don't remember.
Well, that's what we
Let's see if I can find it for you
We
quickly.
need to know the answer to the question before we can proceed. Mr. President. Can't deal with a condition of probability around here.
It's just that all of these cases, or the cases that we're discussing now, we happen to all talk about tow trucks. And so in these cases, the court found that they were clearly motor carriers, but there is a specific, here is the definition. Actually, it's not, I don't think, contained in this case. So I'd have to go to the federal statute and get you the actual definition of the motor carrier.
As a general proposition, though, any restriction on trucks that are carrying property or goods is not permissible by municipalities, weight or otherwise.
Well, when did this law, when was it enacted?
The Federal Act was enacted in the early 1990s, I believe. It was
1994.
Well, we've been having these restrictions on weight limits. Since then, we've put motion in.
Yes,
City attorney hasn't told us that it's illegal.
As I'm sure you understand, cases of this type take years to get through the courts. And that's what's happening.
Is it state law also? The judge ruled on state.
By the way, this is not state law that we're talking about. This is federal law.
Well, the judge ruled, it was the federal judge?
Yes.
It was a federal judge.
Correct.
Issued a ruling.
Correct. And it's a federal act that we're dealing with.
Right, well, then we need more than just request to ask the legislature to change the law. We also need the Congress change the law. We also need to ask the state legislature to also request, memorialize Congress to change the law to give the authority to local government. I think a decision coming from them as well as from us generates additional support. So if you're going to put a motion and say that this law should be revisited and then appeal to permit local government to exercise the authority and control over weights as the trucks use the streets and services, we have to pay for that. Then we should ask the legislature to join in with us to do the same. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Mr. Burnson?
Yeah, this is a very disturbing piece of information. This is a real intrusion on local government. And I don't know what the status of this is. Is it in the courts now, or has there been a court decision rendered as to the state, local government's ability or state's ability to legislate?
Yes, this particular case was decided by the federal district court. There have been other cases of similar impact decided by courts of appeal.
Okay, well, I think we need to go one step further. In all due respect, Mr. Holden's suggestion is a good one, but I think that we need to, and I'm going to make this a motion, we continue to enforce and ticket those vehicles that disobey our posting, and that we file a appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, because this is a direct invasion upon the right of local government to exercise the controls that are necessary for maintaining our community in a good position. So that's my motion.
Actually, if I may address that, one, we would have further difficulties if we continue to enforce laws which have been declared to be unconstitutional or preempted. The city would be subject to exposure for violation of civil rights in that situation.
Well, if we have applied to the courts for appeal, I think that that would give us the right, would it not, to enforce?
No, it does not stay the action of the decision.
Well, has there been a stay of enforcement?
There is not. And
Well, then why
moreover, we're not a party to this case, so we cannot appeal, but we are doing all that we can to participate as amicus in the appeal that the Attorney General...
Has somebody appealed this? Has anybody appealed this?
We're urging the Attorney General to appeal. He hasn't decided whether he will or won't.
I see. Well, okay, then I'll alter my motion that we ask the Attorney General to file an appeal on behalf of the state of California, and that we act as
an
amicus on that particular case.
We are.
Mr. Councilman.
I was just going to clarify that for Mr. President. This is not our case. We have done what we can and have the League of Cities. Mr. Echeverria said he was on a conference call with the legal committee of the League of Cities to urge the state attorney general to file that appeal, and then we would join in. We also have asked that we urge the state legislature to urge the attorney general, as well as urging the state legislature to seek federal change in the regulations so that it can come back to the local government.
You'll secede from the U.S., right?
Mr. Zani.
Mr. President, colleagues, the Los Angeles Police Department has a special section of motor officers, special enforcement unit, and they go out and cite trucks daily with very expensive citation fines. Have they been informed of this to prevent further litigation on the City of Los Angeles? And I think there's about 20 of those officers that specifically go out after those trucks on the roads that are restricted, enforcing the sections that we have within the code to prevent further litigation, which I understand could occur if we continue this enforcement. Has the police department been notified of this to cease that type of operation?
The police department was notified of the preemption issues after the Toker case came down in July of 2000. However, if this unit is enforcing state statutes, then that's fine. They can continue to do that. And actually, I just became aware of the special unit that you're talking about this morning when I was talking with Detective Dan Carson from Commission Investigation Division. And so he and I will have further discussions about that. If it's state statutes, it's fine. If they're relying on local ordinances, then they should not be enforcing those.
Because by their nature, they do both state and the weight limits that are oftentimes the 6,000-pound restrictions throughout the city of Los Angeles, and oftentimes they'll take them to scales and weigh the trucks. So what you're saying is that part of the LAMC, the 6,000-pound, they cannot enforce anymore?
Right, not the LAMC.
Okay, I would appreciate if that notice be made. Not that it's going to help our roads and our communities, but to avoid further litigation on it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Burnson.
This is getting more serious all the time. Does that involve haul routes, for example, on grading, when you're moving dirt back and forth? Would that be excluded? That's number one. Number two, I want to ask Pete this question. Do we have the ability to require permits for using certain routes for certain types of deliveries in the city under our local ordinances?
The preemption applies to the movement of what they refer to as property in the Act, which is basically goods. That does not apply.
But that's presuming that you're stopping them from moving it.
Correct.
Regulating them. Do we have the ability to legislate the routes that they can use to achieve that?
No.
That's your opinion, or the court's rule?
That's expressly stated in the Act. Cannot regulate routes, rates.
In other words, they can bring huge trucks down residential streets that we have in this city that are 20 feet wide. I mean, the courts have actually said that you can't restrict them from doing that. I can't believe they could get away with something like this. I just can't believe it.
That is not to say that there are not federal regulations that prohibit those same acts, but it has to be through either the federal law or if it's a public safety issue through the state law.
So the state can the state legislate that under state law for safety?
If you can say that it is a public safety issue.
Okay, well, I would ask our chief legislative analyst, if I can get his attention over there. I think that, come on, will you please pay a little attention here? Would you hold my time, please? This is important. I'm sorry, I don't mean to embarrass you. We need to draft legislation and get somebody to carry it. It gives us the ability at the state level, because the state does have the ability to legislate, and provide us the ability to legislate what we can do as far as restricting certain type of vehicles oversized from areas where they should not be. And I think that maybe you can refine that, and we can find an author for that legislation in Sacramento if what Mr. Echeverria is telling us is correct. Is that correct?
Yes, the state
Okay.
can regulate.
So I think that
Why don't you move that the city sponsor such legislation?
I move the city sponsor such legislation, okay?
Mr. Holden.
I'm not clear, but I'm going to vote for this motion because I don't think you're clear, Madam City Attorney. You're reading, trying to understand, and then share the information with us as you try to digest it. And we keep hitting you with questions that you're not clear on. For an example, what about dirt going down the street? That's not goods.
This very case involved dump trucks, so dirt is included.
Dirt is included, but you didn't say that right away. But what route did you take?
Cannot regulate routes.
Well, let me just then tell us what we can't do or what we can do, if anything at all.
You cannot regulate in any area dealing with the transportation by trucks of any goods as defined in the statute.
Goods, what's the definition of goods?
That includes dirt. Okay.
Goods includes dirt dumped from a dump site.
From anywhere.
Well, then I want to see the decision on that.
We'll get you a copy of that.
Please do that. Then we'll see what the current law states, and then we'll deal how we get around it. I don't need to get around it from law school. We made the law, and so therefore we can change it.
Ms. Hahn.
Thank you. I really do appreciate my colleagues getting as angry as I've gotten. The first time I read this, when it came out, I was extremely angry and extremely concerned, and I clearly was thinking of my own district and the problems I've had with truck traffic, but this extends throughout our city, and to think that no longer in any of those areas, weight, safety, residential annoyance or nuisance, we will no longer be able to regulate how trucks come in and around Los Angeles is bad legislation. It's bad government. And I appreciate that we've all really gotten on board today, and everything we're doing, I think we've got to do everything we can to, make sure, urge the appealing of this, pass a resolution that would amend it if it can't be appealed, and then we must urge the state legislature to at least we want to be a part of their legislation on our streets. I want to be able to send the very truck routes that I want to have happen in my community to make sure that they've got those regulations on their books at least. So I appreciate your anger today.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn, for bringing this matter in. We have, I believe, 2 amending motions on the desk. Mr. Clerk.
You have 18B, which is the Bernson-Hahn motion to sponsor legislation to provide the city with the ability to prohibit certain types of vehicles from city streets.
Members wishing to speak on that amendment before we take a vote? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please open the roll on 18B. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved.
And 18A, correct me if I'm not right, resolved to include in legislative program an authority to exercise local authority in the federal act and further to continue to urge an appeal through the Attorney General.
I see a nod from our city attorney. Members, we're going to take a vote on this. Mr. Clerk, please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
18A is approved. And one final vote on the item as amended. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Forthwith. Next item, please.
Mr. President, you do have a special agenda meeting schedule. Do you wish to go into that at this time?
Yes, please. Special meeting agenda. Please call the roll.
Person Glanter, Garcetti, Hahn, Holden, Labange, Miskowski, Pacheco, Perry, Reyes, Riley Thomas, Weiss, Sine, Padilla. You have 13 members present and a quorum.
Members, the special meeting agenda is now before us. Item number 1. We do have a few cards. Ms. Miskowski.
Let's go ahead and hear from the public comments on this, and then I'd like to ask Mr. Fujioka and Mr. Deaton to come to the table.
Okay. Item number 1 from the special meeting agenda, the council calls forward Mr. Larry Green.
You know, while you're sitting at these comfortable chairs, these plush chairs, going through your presentations, I'm killing myself on these hardback chairs. It's no fun. You should sit in the chairs that we sit in, and these meetings would move a lot more quickly, trust me. Special number 1 has to do with a $600 million bond issue. I'm going to read to you from today's Daily News. This is not me talking, this is the Daily News. The recycling bad ideas seems to be the rage in City Hall these days. Listen, because I'm talking about you right now. The council has also resurrected a once rejected $600 million police and fire bond measure in the cynical hope that resurgent patriotism has made the public gullible enough to throw more money into City Hall's bottomless pit. You don't want to hear the rest of this editorial. Then you'll never let me talk ever again. That's all for this item.
Thank you, Mr. Green. This concludes public comment on this item. Ms. Miskowski.
I would like to have the city administrative officer and the CLA address the issues that were raised, I think, in a letter that we've all received from the controller, and in particular, that is dealing with the requirement of the debt impact statement that the charter now requires that the council consider before we approve any further debt or likelihood of debt for the city. And also, then like the city legislative analyst office to talk about the issues about the prioritization of the facilities and the public structure and what the city has done over the last number of years in attempting to create that priority. Mr. Fujioka?
With respect to the issues identified, as listed on this agenda item, the information that we provided to your respective offices, we have provided a debt impact statement that addresses the impact this bond will have on our voter-approved debt. What's being passed out to you right now is a debt chart that clearly shows what capacity we currently have and will have as a consequence if this bond measure is approved. According to our to current policy, 15% of general fund revenues, well, we have a capacity of up to 15% of general fund revenues. As of this year, we're at 8.45%. And you can see that we have more than sufficient capacity in our debt to address this or to handle this bond measure. If I can go through the debt impact statement a little bit, what we've calculated is that the average tax for a single-family home assessed at $185,000 is approximately $34.49 for 34 years. That's an average. For the first year, following the first bond issue, it'll be approximately $11.10. And then by the year 2006, it'll be $52.61. The issuance of an additional $600 million in general obligation bonds will result in average debt service payments of approximately $41 million per year. This issue will not, and I want to emphasize not, cause the city's debt service payments to exceed 15% of general fund revenues. And that, again, is clearly reflected on the chart we just provided to you. The debt service payments will increase from a current 4.5% to, 8.45% to 8.67% of general fund revenues. The one thing that I think is very, very important to emphasize is that we clearly have the capacity in our debt to handle this bond measure, but also I think it's important to emphasize the impact this measure will have on the quality of our public safety services. I personally have been to many of these stations, and it's the environment, the conditions that our officers work in is dismal at best, and it's something that I feel that should be and must be pushed forward by the city. Ron?
First on debt, and it speaks to priorities and remaining priorities, is that there is $1.5 billion capacity left on our own voluntary cap. In this chart, I think it's also, it's very pleasing for some of us who have been here for a while to, if you look at the non-voter debt going down over a period of time, there was a period of time in this city in which it was used, that was used for some very short-term projects. There are things that were in past bond issues that Mr. Fujioka and I both believe can be financed from that particular source in a couple of years from now, because we have reduced our reliance on that source as a way of financing some very short-term capital projects. As it relates to priorities and the police, what you have before you in the fire and police issues, as it relates to the EOC, fire dispatch, and the police operations center, that has been a high priority for the city for quite a while. In 1995, excuse me, 1965 I started. In 1995, the city contracted with Cosmont and had a comprehensive study done of police facilities. That was reviewed by a Blue Ribbon Committee of outsiders from the on a mayor's task force. It was reviewed internally by the Bureau of Engineering and by the CAO staff and the CLA staff. Before we went to the bond issue in 1999, we had those estimates reviewed by outside sources relative to outside contractors relative to cost. Finally, the material that you have before you today and on Tuesday have been rechecked by the Bureau of Engineering in the last 30 days for both updated construction cost and also experience that we have in constructing several projects in recent years. There is nothing on municipal facilities today that are higher priority than those police stations, the EOC, the fire dispatch system. We are being cited on the jail. The bomb squad issue is that we need to geographically split that and have two facilities so we can respond in two ways, in a more diversified way for a very large city. This has been extensively reviewed by council committees, by the council, by the mayor's office, by everybody, and these remain the highest. And if you visit Hollenbeck or Rampart or West Valley or Harbor on those stations, there is no doubt as to the need. And for the two additional stations, the population, both in the Mid-Wilshire and the Valley area in the future, those are very important additions to the stations for a comprehensive way of deploying police officers citywide. Project management, we have two things on project management. I want to speak to the issue of approval of the projects in the first place. The council, and Mr. Holden commented about this relative to 19th and 20th police stations and why we didn't follow through. What you have before you, I want you to know, every station has been looked at. Every construction project has been looked at. We have crunched the numbers several times over the last couple of years, most recently, as I said, in 30 days. What was put in the bond issue in 1989
was the following statement: possible construction of 2 new stations to be located in the San Fernando Valley and the Mid-Wilshire areas. That was added at the last minute. There was no funding in the bond for it. There was a desire to do it out of savings. There was no savings. We sent the wrong message. We sent the message that we could do something that we couldn't possibly do. You're not doing that on this bond issue. Also, the structure since 1989 has totally changed, in large part because of then Councilwoman Laura Chick and other people on this council to set up a better monitoring system both internally and externally. And I brought with me today, this is the library bond issue. Every month, the progress of every project, it is overseen by an internal group. This is the animal facilities bond issue. Every month, a report on status, how much money, etc. This is the fire facilities. Every month, a schedule on every project, a status of every dollar. And this is the zoo bond issue. Every dollar, every project, every schedule updated on a monthly basis. We have changed since 1989 entirely. We are telling the public what we're going to do. We have reviewed the cost of how much it cost, how to do it, and we've set in place a mechanism for getting it done. We are doing a much better job than we were doing in 1989 on all counts. And the public should feel safe in that respect, that if they want these, and they should want these facilities to be constructed, that we will get them constructed on time and on cost.
One last comment, if I could add. This is another statement regarding our project management ability. In the past year, our city engineer has developed, with the assistance of outside consultants, a very comprehensive project management training program. We currently have city engineering staff, and soon we'll have Park and Rec staff and other city staff going through that program, which in itself will add a significant value, and with that, additional skills and abilities for us to properly manage a project of this type. We have city-assigned project managers to each of the projects identified by Ron. We are doing, I think, a much better job in the management of our projects.
Thank you, Mr. Fujioka and Mr. Deaton. Members of the council, I think the staff has indicated that the issues that have been raised have been addressed specifically, and not just with lip service, but in terms of saying how the city has changed, how it does its bonds. It has project management given to the people who know how to build buildings as opposed to the people who know how to provide public safety or lend library books. It provides the oversight and a reporting process where every member of the city council, every member of the public is able to see monthly what is being done and the delivery of those. Right now, for instance, that library bond project under this new system tells you that there are 14 libraries at this time under construction, and many of them are going to be completed before their targeted finish date. I think the most important thing that we've been given is the debt, the voter and non-voter approved debt chart, which shows that in fact even with our 15% limit, we are well below that. This chart includes this project and still shows us being well below that. It shows that we are now beginning to manage this the way that the council instructed the city agencies to manage it, to keep track of it, to set that ceiling. It was this council that set the policy ceiling. Prior to 1998, there was no policy debt ceiling. We had bond rating agencies who told us what we should do, but we did not formally do it, and that was a fight to do it in this council with the previous administration, who did not want that bond ceiling enacted. I think that this is prudent, and I just brought in, this is the briefing material on the book that was done by a Blue Ribbon Citizens Committee in 1998 that looked at the priorities of what we needed to do with our public safety facilities and our infrastructure. It's from that book, from that thing that we have continued. It has been the guidepost. We are not coming in with everything that is recommended here. We are taking it in smaller, manageable chunks. as we did a few years ago when we put the fire stations bond on the ballot. I think we have risen to the test, risen to the standard that the public has set for us. I think we have been delivering, we can continue to deliver, and this is the next really important group of priorities for public safety. Some of the things that are in this bond have been talked about for the last 5 years that I've been on this city council as needed and should have been included in the last bond. They weren't, they are now, they've been the priorities, nothing has changed, other than, I think, the focus and elevating the priority, as is this bond recognizes in terms of our emergency operations, the decentralization of emergency capability throughout the city and in each and every fire station and police station that provides that public safety to our general public. So I ask the council to approve it and feel good and feel confident that we are doing it consistent with all of the regulations, the guidelines, and the criteria that we have imposed and the voters have demanded that we impose.
Mr. Weiss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Gentlemen, could you please address specifically the project management aspect of it? I mean, as currently constituted and currently contemplated, what departments will actually manage the construction here? Is it police, fire, EPD? What other options do we have? Are there other options that we ought to be exploring right now in that regard? If you could hold my time, please.
The model we have chosen for the other projects, and we're recommending for this one, is the Bureau of Engineering will be the project manager. There will be a technical steering committee or oversight committee composed of the city administrative office, the mayor, my office, and the related department. In the case of the police facilities, it would be police. In the case of fire, it would be fire. The reason but that the Bureau of Engineering is the responsible agency for constructing it, and the other group, Mr. Fujioka, myself, and others, are responsible for ensuring that Bureau of Engineering is on scope, and also that the project is designed in accordance with the requirements of the respective departments. In other words, it's very important if you're designing a library that the librarians have a lot to say about what the library looks like. But we believe that over time, and it has started to have be productive, is that construction of a building should not be shifted from department to department, that one project manager group be developed as we do these things over time. And we have, the city has chosen the Bureau of Engineering to be that body. It is the other people's responsibility to, if you will, jump all over engineering to make sure they're on time, and for the respective departments to design the system, design the facility such that it's right for fire command and control, to dispatch the paramedics and the firefighters, or the bomb squad facility is, or the zoo, the chimpanzees have the right facilities, is not something the city engineer is eminently familiar with, but each department provides their own input on that aspect. The actual construction, the bricks and the mortar, and that aspect of it are the responsibility of the Bureau of Engineering.
So you basically have a structure where you have the client, in this instance, in most cases would be the police department. You have we have professional engineering staff whose the very basic, very core, education centers around the management of construction projects. Then you have a management oversight team comprised of the three entities identified by Ron for the appropriate check and balance. If you just have the client driving a program of this type, then you eliminate what I think is one of the most critical aspects of this of our proposal, and that's a strong management oversight team to ensure that timelines are met, but the projects are completed within budget, and also completed with the type of quality that the city would demand.
Mr. Pacheco.
Madam President, colleagues, first of all, I want to start out by
patting myself and Dennis on the back as charter reform commissioners. One of the first things that we asked for was these debt impact statements that were not a requirement prior to the new charter. So Dennis was on the finance committee with Erwin Chemerinsky and myself. So I really I want to thank the CEO for providing that statement so we can have a bird's eye view of what we're doing when we're promoting and requesting bonds. The other thing I wanted to say is I really do agree with the CLA's assessment that it's a different day today in terms of how we handle and how we manage our bond money, and I would simply ask everyone to look at the fact that we are tracking our library construction very well, and that I anticipate that that's exactly what's going to happen here with the promises and commitments that we make to the public. And I believe that we do want to address the concern raised by our colleague, Councilmember Holden, that in the past people were left with promises that were never fulfilled. And I will tell you that one of the promises that was never fulfilled was the renovation of Hollenbeck out of that prior bond. So when Mr. Holden identifies that we left our constituents and the residents with basically holding an empty bag, I can tell you right now, the rank and file officers and the community that is serviced by Hollenbeck are very much aware of that. And I believe that they will support this bond based on the new techniques that we've learned over the years through Prop BB, through the library bond, and the fact that we are much more sophisticated in how we handle the construction of our projects. So I look forward to this passing, and I can tell you right now that the communities that are serviced by Hollenbeck are really looking forward to completing the promise that was broken in the prior bond. So I appreciate all your support on this measure.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Mr. Holden.
Madam President and President Council, we received a letter from the controller, Ms. Laura Chick, and addressed to the mayor and to the members of the council. I want you to hold my time while I respectfully request the clerk read the letter into the record.
The entire letter, or?
Yeah, I think the
Mr. Holden, we are down to
the public needs to know what's in that letter, and I'm requesting that we read the letter into the record. It's their money.
Each member of the council has received the letter.
I know, but the public is not aware of it.
They aren't. The CLA and the CAO responded to each item in public at the public hearing that we just
That's what the president don't sit up there and debate. The president, we made a request, and the public has a right to know. I don't think any member of this council would say no. The public should not entitle that information from the clerk.
Cindy?
Just well, on the website. We can also. It could have been done by now. Go ahead, read the letter.
But that people can read it over and over and over again if it's on the website. They don't have to just listen to it once in case they tuned in late. They can get the whole thing.
See, they want to, then I'll vote no. Because I got to tell you one thing right now. Unless the public is aware of what the controller is saying, it's a no vote on this side of the table. I respectfully request that you read the letter, sir.
I have a letter in front of me dated November 15, 2001, addressed to the mayor and the members of City Council regarding proposed public safety facilities bond measure. Dear council members and Mayor Hahn, as controller and as a former council member who has chaired the Public Safety and Governmental Efficiency Committees, I emphatically agree with the city that the City of Los Angeles needs to improve the quality and quantity of its public safety facilities. However, we also need to guarantee that the bond money is well spent, and in the past, we have not always delivered on that guarantee. In my role overseeing expenditures and reporting to the mayor and council on city debt level, I am writing to discuss this matter with you. Charter Section 325 requires that prior to the adoption of any ordinance or resolution authorizing the incurring of any indebtedness by the city or placing of any debt authorization on the ballot, the mayor and council shall have prepared a debt impact statement. The proposed resolution placing this measure on the March 2002 2022 election ballot will be before the council tomorrow. There are several key issues in which should be fully addressed. The public must know up front that if this bond measure passes, we will do things differently and better. We need to assess competing priorities and whether the proposed measure's passage will, due to the city's self-imposed debt limit, preclude us from undertaking other debt finance projects now or in the future. We also need to determine the realistic and necessary cost and additional staffing needs of strong and effective project management and bond program administration. What additional needs will there be, for example, for project managers, engineers, accountants, and schedulers? In addition, a continuously problematic practice has been to place project management and oversight in the hands of departments that will eventually use the bond-funded facilities. We should leave project management to the experts in the fields of engineering and construction instead of asking our public safety departments to divert attention from their core missions and attend to complex projects outside their scope of expertise. As an example of how to proceed, we can look at the library department, which has successfully partnered with the Department of Public Works in the library bond construction program. We must also determine the ongoing general fund impact of upkeep of new or renovated facilities. Bonds build the facilities, but they do not maintain them. Finally, a full and open discussion of timing is called for in this instance. We are in the midst of what could be a significant economic downturn of unknown duration, with city resources and possibly operations shrinking. We are voluntarily taking on more debt, with uncertainty about the amount of debt that we will need to incur involuntarily in the near future. The city's record of delivering bond-funded projects on time and on budget is, at best, mixed. In previous years, we have not made optimum use of bond dollars. Money the public trusts us to expend wisely, efficiently, and effectively. We need to ensure that if this measure passes, we will manage projects and spend bond money better from beginning to end. I appreciate your consideration of these issues, and as always, I am eager to work with you. Sincerely, Laura N. Chick, City Controller.
Thank you.
Now I'll vote for it because the public has been informed. You can put it on the website if you choose to, but to deny public information regarding what the controller is saying is outright wrong. You say that you don't have a right to know it's wrong.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Reyes.
I just rise to say I wanted to thank Councilmember Cindy Miskowski and the staff in the presentation, the answer to the questions that were generated by the controller. So I appreciate the information. I'll keep it brief. I know we have a quorum issue. Thank you.
Thank you. The chair now recognizes Mr. Labange.
Also rise to support this. I got my tax bill yesterday, and I read out all the indebtedness throughout the county that my wife Bridget and I will be responsible for, and I certainly would want to support an additional tax for these facilities to protect the citizens of Los Angeles with the needs that we have. And all of these things are very important, and all of these things over my years have taken time to get done. But we have to fight for the things like we fight for parks, like we fight for libraries. And if we follow the record of the library department, we'll be successful, and we can stand tall as representatives of Los Angeles and deliver it to all the people of the city. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Zine.
That was commendable. Madam Chair and colleagues, the concern I have, and I do support this coming from the ranks of the LAPD and seeing the dilapidated facilities, and I invite people of Los Angeles to go to the stations we're talking about, West Valley, Harbor, Rampart, Hollenbeck. Go to those stations and look at the facilities, look at the trailers, look at how the people have to work in those deplorable conditions. As far as the oversight is concerned, I understand that there's 2 oversight reviews. Who will select those individuals to the oversight committees? Who will make that selection?
In the case of the internal group, it is included in the recommendations, which would be my office, the CAO's office, the mayor's office, and the police and fire. As it relates to the citizen oversight, the approach that the council has, the policy that the council has been that it would be 5 members, 3 selected by the mayor and 2 by the president of the council.
Now, will they be members from those specific communities where those stations are going to be located, or are they people that are city residents?
It's up to the mayor. It's up to the mayor and the president of the city council.
Okay. And another concern I have is they were going to spend $800,000 to renovate West Valley Station, take down the asbestos, remove the asbestos, and do some flooring, etc. Nothing with the trailers. I don't know how much more they have appropriated for other facilities for improvements. Is there a way we can take some of those dollars that have been appropriated for that and fold them into this project so we can have our $600 million, but do what we need to do and do it right and not squander that money on something else?
We will, if this passes, take a long view of overview of the entire monies that are available for police and fire facilities, couple it with this, and eliminate duplications and try to attempt to use that money the best possible way we can. As soon as if this does in fact pass, if it doesn't pass, then we'll probably proceed with the $800,000 renovation at West Valley.
Now, what about Harbor, Rampart, Hollenbeck? Do they have projects?
We'll have to review that. I don't believe any of them have any monies at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zine. The chair recognizes Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to ask a quick question about who's going to be responsible for ensuring that in the construction that this is done in a sustainable manner and the costs up front are incorporated in. Obviously, there's savings in the long run, and I know that there's the will do that, but who's going to be responsible for that?
Primary project management is the Bureau of Engineering. The council will look to the internal oversight committee, which will be composed of Mr. Fujioka, myself, the mayor's office, and the chief of police and the fire chief. And is the responsibilities of that oversight committee, as well as the city engineer who's also here, to ensure that, number one, the projects are done on time and on budget. If there are savings, they will be accumulated and will come back to the mayor and the council for how those savings can best be used, either in the fulfillment of the overall purposes of the bonds.
And the city engineer just stated that the sustainable design has been built into the budget for each project. So that is an absolute factor.
That's my only question. Thanks.
Thank you. The chair recognizes Ms. Galanter.
I move the previous question.
Is there any objection to the previous question being called? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk?
A motion is required from the floor for A and B on the special agenda. A is the debt impact statement, a motion to note and file that matter, and B, a motion to adopt the ballot resolution of necessity.
Mr. Pacheco moves. Mr. Garcetti seconds. Matters before us. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Forthwith to the mayor. Next item.
That does it for the special meeting. Do you wish to adjourn that meeting and go back to the regular
Let's
meeting?
adjourn the special meeting and go back to the regular meeting agenda for today. Next item.
On the regular agenda, item number 1 is a item notice for public hearing, and an amending motion has been distributed.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that, Mr. Clerk? What is before us, Mr. Clerk?
Item number 1 is a public hearing item, and there is also an amending motion that has been circulated, a motion drawn up by Mr. Burnson and Mr. Holden.
Does anyone wish to speak on item number 1, this public hearing? I see no cards. We will close the public hearing. The motion to amend item number 1 is before us. Open the roll. We'll adopt the amendment and open the roll on item number 1 as amended. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That matter is approved.
Item number 4 on the regular agenda is an item called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden? Would you like to have a staff report?
Yeah, we get a staff report. Is next week the deadline?
The existing panel expires on November 20th. It's been in place for 3 years.
On that, I just want to know why you wait the last minute then to ask us to approve this continuation of this panel, with a few names added. And what would another week make in terms of, well, and we continue this to next Tuesday. Would that hurt you?
I don't think so.
All right, then fine. Madam President, members, I ask that we continue this next Tuesday. There's no rush.
All right, if there's no objection, we'll continue to Tuesday,
November 20th.
November 20th. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Item number 7 called special inasmuch as there's a card of a member who wishes to speak, and 7A does have an amending motion that has been circulated.
All right, we have a card for Mr. Larry Green.
This is a really great meeting. I'm glad I came here today. Point of information, it's not an A, it's an E. It is not an A. I totally support the Festival of Lights at Griffith Park, and it's wonderful. Everybody get out your agenda. This is unbelievable. The honeymoon is over, Tom. You know, I'm not the nice guy anymore. I've got to be the tough guy that I am on this one. I don't know if you heard of Chubby Checker. He was a great singer, Philadelphia native. He once did a song called The Limbo Rock. Everybody do the limbo rock, and they had a line, how low can you go? Those of you over 50 may remember that song. Well, item number 7E is one of these motions to honor a celebrity, Martin Lawrence, hand and footprint ceremony, sponsored by 20th Century Fox. Well, maybe my grievance ought to be with 20th Century Fox for honoring this guy. I can't even begin to tell you how little respect I have for Martin Lawrence and his body of work. In fact, if I told the women members of City Council what he calls women in his comedy act, you'd throw me out of here in handcuffs. This guy was running around with a gun, running around naked on Hollywood Boulevard, attacking people in cars. He's vulgar, he's offensive. Plenty of women has quit his TV show. And you're honoring this guy. And what about someone like Magic Johnson or Billy Crystal or Whoopi or Robin Williams? You're going to give Howard Stern or Andrew Dice Clay a hand and footprint? He needs a fingerprint ceremony. He needs a fingerprint ceremony. And I don't care how this sounds. And if you need Martin Lawrence's material, I'll go to Blockbuster in the X-rated section and I'll rent one of his videotapes. And if any of you women vote for this, maybe you want to go on Howard Stern with me also. I live in Hancock Park, Windsor Square, and maybe I'm an old-fashioned, blue-blooded kind of guy, but I have ethics and morality. And any of the women from Tom LaBonge's campaign know that they're young and beautiful and they're attractive and they're young enough to be my daughter, and I left my hands to myself the whole time that I worked for him. And that's why Tom's in there, because I am an honest, decent guy. So I hope you don't vote for 7E. Let somebody else honor him. Let 20th Century Fox honor Martin Lawrence. Or let the people outside that we ran around naked let him honor him. Thank you. I guess I won't be in his next movie.
Mr. Clerk, is 7E before us? Ms. Galanter. Ms. Galanter. Okay, and then there's no one wishing to speak. The matter is before us. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Item number 14 called special by Councilmember Holden.
Mr. Holden?
All right, Mr. Bernstein's left. I guess we needed 180 days extension on the ordinance. So we're moving forward. He's not here.
All right.
It'd be nice to have a discussion on it for the benefit of new members.
No one else wishes to speak?
Condition, what's it called? An interim control ordinance.
Right.
You all are, okay.
An extension on an interim control ordinance. Okay, the matters before us. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Item number 18B, which is a closed session item, there's a request to continue that matter. I understand it would be Tuesday, November 20th.
Okay, without objection, we will let that matter be continued to November 20th.
Okay. Special 2 is on the desk, not on the agenda. It's item the city attorney will speak to.
The city attorney make the findings.
Madam President, this is a motion from Council Member Reyes. In it, he seeks to have the council authorize the Department of Recreation and Parks to apply for a grant which would enable to have a feasibility study conducted, and that this has something to do with the parkway there, Mr. Reyes. In order for the council to make or to consider his motion, there has to be a finding made by the members that there is a need to take immediate action on this matter, and that the need to take the action came to the attention of the council subsequent to the posting of today's city council agenda.
Mr. Reyes, do you want to speak to the findings?
Yes, please. Thank you, Madam President. Council members, I'm finding out about this deadline for this grant this morning. It's literally is coming together this morning. It is a very important project in that it is allowing us to start combining a variety of investments made by the state, the county, and the city in dealing with a major corridor called the Arroyo Parkway, the river, and gives us the ability to combine all of these facilities into one program. This feasibility is something that we need. I believe we have a department person here to speak to it. It is grant funds, and I think it behooves us to allow us to move forward on this effort.
Okay, I think Mr. Reyes has indicated that it was a matter that just came before us this morning, so the need to act arose after the publishing of the agenda. Can the council first take a vote on the suspension of the rules consistent with the rule? Open. Seeing no objection on that, we will go ahead and have the matter before us. Is there staff that would like to or need to present this? Any members of the public, any members of the council wishing to speak? Then the matter is before us. Open the roll.
Authorization, it says 200.
Please put that on microphone.
Mr. Garcetti?
Yes.
You may want to just make a technical amendment to the authorization part where the amount of 299,00. There's a zero missing there.
Missing a zero.
Let's add the zero and open the roll on the matter. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
That matter is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Forthwith to the mayor.
Now it's time for public comment on non-agenda items.
Okay. Yes. Mr. Zine made the request on 18 to continue it. We have public comment period.
Mr. Zine, that's where your head's at?
Let me call Larry Green on public comment.
Now, look, we have only 10 minutes for all public comment. A lot of people want to speak, so I'm going to try to limit myself to 2 minutes. But it will be possible. I have Jan Perry. I have many years in radio. Now I have a minute and 55 seconds. First of all, first thing I want to say, and I've said it before, the 800 block of North Las Palmas, where I live, is in catastrophic condition. Now, last night we had a big meeting with the Windsor Park Association. I had to keep quiet because there are all these multimillionaires that live down the block from me. Their streets are beautiful. I want to see something done. Don't drive on that block. I hope you have good shock absorbers. That's the number one. It's a disaster. Number two, I would like the city council to do something and borrow from the playbook from New York and outlaw the following. Outlaw talking on the cell phone when you're driving. We all saw Primetime Live last night with that beautiful model who God's great work in modern medicine has kept her alive. She almost died because somebody answered a cell phone while they were driving. We've got to do that. That's number two. This is important. Someone's going to die one day, important, and then you're going to cancel it. Then you're going to outlaw it. The third thing I want to talk about is the Cal State Northridge football team. I went down to speak to the trustees with my friend Duke Russell, who'll be speaking in a few more minutes. And we spoke to the trustees and the Cal State presidents. And it was a real amazing experience. We brought football players down there. If you're going to put a $600 million bond issue on the ballot for cops and police, maybe you ought to put a bond issue also to keep the Cal State Northridge football team. If you cancel football at Cal State Northridge, I have 20 seconds left. If you're going to regret it. 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 The Ivy League started because of football. They canceled football at Brandeis, my first school, and thank God they have football at Cornell, my second school, because without football, Cornell wouldn't have much to do on Saturday afternoon. You can't study all week long. Do what you can. Listen to Duke Russell's speech. I'm warning you, if you drop football at Cal State Northridge, you're going to be sorry. Thank you. I was done.
Mr. Gordon Bergelson.
Madam President, council members, ladies and gentlemen, Gordon Bergelson regarding the Workforce Investment Act. The City of Los Angeles annually receives approximately $65 million from the Department of Labor to operate a series of one-stop career planning and job centers in the city under the Workforce Investment Act. The city contracts this out to a variety of independent contractors. And the independent contractors on all levels are supposed to supply experienced and trained staff qualified to perform the related services in the contract. This includes, but not limited to, staff-assisted job placement, staff-assisted job search, staff-assisted job placement, and staff-assisted job referrals. This isn't being done. The dislocated worker with more complex needs are not being serviced. Community Development further reports that the dislocated worker is a targeted group, and that they further report that there is a gap in service for this group. So we ask you, as our elected officials, to see that our tax dollars are prudently spent and see that each and every aspect of these service contracts are enforced. Madam President, council members, ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
All right, Mr. Baxter. Peter Baxter.
Madam President, members of your Honourable Council, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Peter Baxter and I live at 1319 Ingraham Street in Los Angeles. It is respectfully submitted that the September 11th fire in the World Trade Center is still smoldering and smoking. That is clear evidence that the New York Fire Department is unable to put a fire in a high-rise out. The same level of incompetence prevails in the City of Los Angeles Fire Department. In the interim, while the firefighting fraternity is busy trying to find out how to put such fires out, thousands of people, both employees and those having business in a high-rise, as is this high-rise, have to provide for their own security, as in, for example, buying parachutes. Statistically, some high-rise somewhere shall suffer a fire. The employees and visitors in that high-rise shall have to evacuate the building by walking down the stairs. That may take about 10 minutes. They have no protection from smoke inhalation. Smoke inhalation is a major peril in a fire. Smoke permeates everywhere in the building. Until the fire departments of this nation find out how to put a fire in a high-rise out, then every employee and every visitor to a high-rise is surely entitled to the use of an air bottle in the event of a sudden evacuation of the building. An air bottle to maintain security from smoke inhalation. A turbojet engine could clear a burning high-rise of the oxygen that creates the fire. That could be accomplished in less than 1 second from the application of the emissions of a turbojet engine to the fire, all of which is respectfully submitted. I thank you you, Madam President.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Duke Russell.
Señor Duke Russell.
Mr. Duke Russell.
Duke Russell.
Madam President and members of the council, my name is Duke Russell. I'm 75. I'm a graduate of Hollywood High School, where I played basketball on 2 championship teams and on 3 good baseball teams. I signed with the Brooklyn Dodgers, was in spring training at Dodgertown in 1948 when Jackie Robinson and the other boys of summer were there. I have been involved in sports all my life. Nothing works better in America's high schools to help kids, girls and boys, to graduate and go to college. It is a great danger and injustice to stop sports in our tax-supported colleges and universities. Team sports are the way I became lifelong friends with Asians, Jews, Latinos, African Americans, Irish, and others. So please, save football now at Cal State Northridge. For hundreds of kids, LA kids in the future, now in our LA high schools. After only 7 weeks warning to save football at Cal State Northridge, the President, Jolene Kester, will decide before Thanksgiving to save or axe football. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, CSU alumni, and others should fax or email to the President to save football. Here is the fax number and the email. Fax 818-677-2254. Email Jolene Kester, JOLENEKOESTER @csun.edu.
Thank you, Mr. Russell.
Can I have another minute?
We have 2 more cards, and we're running, we have 10 minutes allotted, so we're going to be running over.
I gave you a packet with all the information in my speech at the Board of Trustees. Please, please save football.
Thank you. Next is Nico and Theo Milanopoulos.
We are Nico and Theo Milanopoulos, 14-year-old gun control activists and co-founders of Kids Voice LA.
Anti-terrorism measures to make citizens feel safe have become a top priority for governments around the world since the September 11th terrorist attacks. We know that our city officials have worked to make our city safer by setting up metal detectors around City Hall.
But the city has failed to address gun violence, the terror that plagues our city's children. 50 of our kids, most of them who are racial and ethnic minority kids, are killed every year, and 150 of these kids are shot.
We are very pleased with the motion made by Councilmember Pacheco and Garcetti that would ban the sale of all gun ammunition throughout the city.
We submit a letter to you from the California chapter of the American College of Emergency Physicians, which represents over 2,000 physicians throughout the state. It pledges their support for the ammunition ban.
On behalf of the city's children, we beg you to move quickly on the ammunition ban and to stop the terror in our communities. World peace begins at home. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the final speaker, Mr. Candido Maris.
Madam President, we've gone a little too long, so I'm just going to hold my comments till Wednesday. It's in regards to term limits, but I want to thank Councilman LeBlanc for inviting. I wasn't here that day, but you invited the public to speak on that, so I'll be back. I believe it'll be back on Wednesday. Am I correct?
Mr. Clerk, is that coming back on Wednesday or Tuesday?
Back on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
I will see you on Tuesday then.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the public hearing.
Motions for posting and referral.
Is there so posted?
Council members request to be excused from council attendance. Councilmember Bernstein requests to be excused on Friday, December 12th for city business. This meets policy.
Excuse approved.
Councilmember Padilla requests to be excused on Wednesday, December 19th for city business. This motion is required.
Ms. Galanter moves, Mr. Pacheco seconds.
And Councilmember Zine requests to be excused on December 12th to leave at 11 a.m. For city business. This also meets policy.
That excuse is approved.
The desk is clear.
Thank you. Are there any adjourning motions today? Would all please rise? Chair recognizes Ms. Galanter.
Thank you. I'd like to ask that the council join me in adjourning in memory of my friend David Sigmund, who died last week after a long struggle with brain cancer. David, that's why I had to leave early on Wednesday. I had to go to the funeral. David was a very talented scientist. He taught at UCLA for a very long time, and it was remarkable to listen to people talk about, generations of people talk about how much his teaching and counsel had meant to them. He's survived by his wife, Marion, his mother, his 2 children, and 3 grandchildren, and a whole host of nieces and nephews and in-laws. And the city is much richer for his life and a lot poorer for his death.
Chair recognizes Mr. Labange.
Madam President, members of the council, I'd like to ask the council to adjourn in memory of Harriet Ray. She is the wife of the late great photographer William Ray, who some of his work dons the 4th floor corridor, including that great picture of the Santa Fe Railroad coming through Cajon Pass. Harriet lived in the Los Feliz district in the Franklin Hills. She had 3 grown children, Pat, Kathy, and Elizabeth, and she was a wonderful woman, and she's now with her maker.
Thank you. Any other members? Mr. Clerk, call the roll. The council is adjourned.